Hurts keeps. Hurts cuts. Hurts has the first down. And Jalen Hurts might have just put it away for the Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles select Devontae Smith, wide receiver, Alabama.
What is up, everybody? What is happening? It is Dives, Mr. Crackpot on Twitter. Welcome to the new Party on Broad. Guys, if you're watching us live, if you're watching us for the first time, if you're new to the channel, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button. If you love the Philadelphia 76ers, if you love the Philadelphia Eagles, what we're doing here is something we haven't done before. We are doing a live call-in show here where we're talking everything Sixers. We're talking everything Eagles, Eagles versus Bucks, NFL draft, you name it. But we're also doing a watch party. We're literally me and Rob are watching the Sixers versus Magic and Joel Embiid's historic performance tonight. But
He's got 49.
He's got 49 and counting. It is,
and they're coming down the court. This ball has absolutely got to be in his hand.
Yeah, just give it to Joel Embiid and then sit his ass back down on the bench so he doesn't get hurt. Because the Sixers are up 14, 26 points right now. They're literally throwing it to him down low. Joel Embiid, and he pulls up and he misses it. He gets fouled. He's going to the line. What's up, Rob, man? What's going on?
Hey, man, I figured I was going to come on here and this was just going to be a depressing day. I have really struggled. Not that the Eagles lost to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think deep down we all knew that was the most likely outcome. But it was how they lost. It was the disappointment of many things led by Jonathan Gannon making the comment that he's not going to do the same thing and then did exactly the same thing and didn't adjust until it was 17-0. But honestly, what upsets me, where I'm actually upset, is that within the course of a week, there's 50. Within the course of a week, I went from saying Jalen Hurts has done enough to be the starter next year to I don't want him back. And it's, look, I love the kid, and that's why this one hurts, because he's a kid. It's hard not to love him, right? But what I saw was every deficiency he had get absolutely ripped apart by a smart defensive coordinator who said, hey, Jalen, beat us. And it's, everyone's ripping Sirianni, but the play calls were there. If you watch some of those all 22 snippets that have been out there, he misplays all over the field from start to finish. Not, like I know everyone hypes on that interception, but the Quez Watkins play where he doesn't wait long enough. And I think that's what disappoints me the most, Dives, is because I felt like, all right, at least I know we have a serviceable quarterback who may turn into something here and we could really fill these other positions. And now I sit here today and say, listen, I'll take two of those picks and go trade for a veteran. I mean, that's where I'm at. That's really where I'm at. And I thought a lot about this leading up to the show, and we'll talk about it more, but I'm fully in that court now where, look, to hit on all three of those draft picks would be really hard anyway for anybody, let alone Howie Roseman. So trade two for a guaranteed commodity at the most important position on the field, and that's the quarterback position.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I totally hear you. Like, his deficiencies were put on full display against the Tampa Bay Bucks. I will 100% downplayed their defense. No question about it. You look at their front seven and their ability to get after the quarterback. That being said, the Eagles' offensive line only allowed 8 pressures in that game. Yeah. 8 pressures. The pocket was there. The pressure was there when Jalen Hurts rolled into it. That was the problem. And
it was with the run game, right? They took the run game away. Give them credit for that. But it's like, that's what we've been saying. You got to be able to throw the ball in this league.
Yeah, you have to. And you also have to beat guys with their arms. So I'm excited because we have Mark Schofield coming on tomorrow night at 7 p.m. East Coast time. And we're literally going to ask him exactly that. Mark Schofield's like the quarterback guru of quarterback gurus. He is a brilliant mind. And we're going to really break that down because a lot of people want him, to build and improve in a lot of areas. His anticipation of routes. They want to see more accuracy down the field. They want to see more, better, reading the field, going through his progressions. And that being said, he made improvements throughout this year. But can he take that next step? Is that next step realistic enough to expect? And is he a franchise-winning quarterback in the NFL? I'm not really sure. But joining us, what I am sure now is my man. He is Sean of the Pick Swap podcast. What's up, Sean?
What's going on? Checking in as the Sixers game comes to complete. Joel Embiid's about all I got to say about that one.
This is incredible, man. What a historic performance. I'm going to go to the stats real quick. Joel Embiid's first and third quarters, 43 points, 16 of 23 from the field. He had 47 points in 26 minutes. That was hands down maybe the best third quarter of Sixers basketball from an individual standpoint I've ever seen in my life. I mean, he just could not miss. He was making everybody in that stadium jaw drop, man. What's your take on this game right now?
It just looks so easy for him. Like the shots he's taking are not easy shots. They're fadeaways. The way it's just so crazy how casual it looks, the way he's scoring these baskets and on the turnarounds, out of the post, just doing it all. And just, I mean, it feels like the bar just keeps getting raised for this guy, but he just keeps finding another way and adding layers to the game. It's crazy watching him, how much he's become like guard-like in the sense of what he plays. And he's just like a guy that's legitimately 7 foot, 285, and just facing up, handling the ball. I mean, the videos this week that were spliced together with Kobe and MJ, it's so crazy to see that side by side. And I mean, you just have to tip your hat to like the development that this guy's done and the work that he's put in, because he just really doesn't get enough credit for that.
Well, I was just going to bring that up, Sean. That video, when you think about the fact that they're splicing together videos of him side by side with Kobe and Michael Jordan, who were 6'3" guards, 6'4", 6'5". He's 7 foot, and the moves almost look identical. Like, I don't think that we can even appreciate the treasure we have here. And I blame one Ben Simmons being a jackass for that, because it has put such a dark cloud on this season. And what we're watching is just something that we're not going to see again as far as a big man is concerned in Philadelphia. And I think it's so hard, because obviously we won a championship. That's what we want. And this team right now is, in my opinion, just not built for that. But we are watching something that I don't think anyone saw coming to the NBA. They thought the big man was dead, and Joel's brought it back.
You look at his usage percentage, like it's up there with the MJs, the Russell Westbrooks, like, the James Hardens. Like, he is just taking this team on his back, and it's unbelievable to just watch what we're seeing right now. Joining us now is my man Harrison Grimm. What's going on, man?
How's it going, man? A lot to look forward to. We got this insane game from Joel Embiid, new episode of Boba Fett. I know you appreciate that, so I'm in a good mood tonight.
Oh, man. Thanks for joining. Yeah, so we're just watching the Sixers game right now. Sixers are up. What's the score here? 91. Hold on. 113-91. Rob was like, put him back in. I was like, sit his ass down. Like, he's too good. He is too good, man. But yeah, let's just, should we do a quick? So what we're also doing is an Eagles offensive ranking. I'm just going to throw it. I'm just going to do it, Rob. Number one on my S tier is Jason Kelsey for this offense. Yeah. I don't think there's any debate about Jason Kelsey here. We're going to be doing this all night.
Now, let me ask you something about him, Dibes. I thought he signed a 2-year deal in the offseason, but I saw somewhere this week that he's a free agent. So I don't know. I thought he was under contract another year, and it was just a matter of if he decides to retire or not.
He could probably do whatever the hell he wants to do right now.
Yeah,
I mean, if there's anything that this season proved was he is a lock for the Hall of Fame. So 2022, he has a contract void. So it doesn't look like he's under the books for next year.
Okay. Well,
I'm not a cap guy, unlike Harrison and everyone else. But
listen, I don't care if you draft one or not. He needs to be here next year. He can still play at a high level. the play that's going to stand out for me from him this year is when he was beating, I don't know if it was Miles Sanders or one of the running backs. He is sprinting side by side with them, laying blocks down the field. This guy can still play. And if he wants to play, it should not be anywhere but in the Philadelphia Eagles uniform.
Yeah. I am of the firm belief that I do not buy current players' jerseys, and I'm counting down the days. Now, I don't want to say that in public. I take that back. The day that he retires, my daughter's getting one of his jerseys. No question about it.
Have you guys ever seen, like, it's an ad on like Instagram or Facebook, the team box, and you could buy the Supreme one and get a jersey in it?
Okay, yeah.
Literally after, I think it was right after they aired his speech. Now, I've looked at these boxes for years, and I'm always like, nah, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I did it just so I could get a Jason Kelsey jersey. I did. I was like, you know what? Whether he plays one more year or not, there's never going to be a time that we don't look back on Jason Kelsey and just think about everything that he epitomized for this city. And obviously, it really came out in the Super Bowl parade with the Mummers outfit and the speech and all that. But this guy, I can remember when his career started here because it was rocky for him because he jumped on the fans for booing Andy Reid. And I'll never forget it because I was like, who is this young guy? Does he even know what the hell he's doing? But he figured this town out pretty quick and became such an integral part of it. And I love Jason Kelsey forever. And that's just like Philadelphia to love an offensive lineman. You know what I mean? When you think of the Eagles, you're going to think of an offensive lineman, Jason Kelsey.
Let's go to Sean and Harrison here about the Sixers trade rumors that went down today. Some involving Tyrese Halliburton with the Sacramento Kings. Do you believe it? Then Shams came out later and was like, nah, it's not happening. Sean, what's your quick overall take on this new bet? Well, not new. We've been hearing about it ad nauseum over the last several months. But what's your take right now? What's your vibe?
Yeah, so I guess quick take. I mean, there's just going to be a lot of smoke. There's going to be a lot of smoke coming out. I don't know what's real, what's not. I think the Kings would be making a massive mistake if the franchise that they have right now, and if they are focused around building around Halliburton and Fox, Ben Simmons is a better player than either one of those guys. And if you're not willing to include them to get a deal done with that, it's a little bit of a backwards thinking to me. So I feel like there has to be something from a Sixers perspective. I'm significantly more interested in Halliburton than I am Fox. I would love Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and somewhere maybe a third team involved, something to scrape. But I do like Halliburton as kind of a cornerstone piece. I just think fit-wise, I like the way he passes the ball, can defend a little bit. The shots are there. The stats are there. So I think there's something there, but I still think it's another team involved before a deal could actually come together.
What about you, Harrison?
Well, I think you gotta just look at the situation as a whole. It's hard, like Sean said, to gauge what is real and what isn't real. But the fact that you're seeing all this news and stuff out there tells you that there's some kinds of talks going on, right? And I'm someone, I like Halliburton a lot. The rumored package of Halliburton, Barnes, Buddy, and 2 first-rounders, that's a pretty good return. And like Sean said, if the Kings aren't going all in for Ben Simmons, I'm not entirely sure what they're doing. I'm sure that they would love to pair Ben Simmons with that backcourt, but the matter of the fact is you're not going to get Ben Simmons unless you're willing to package one or both of those guys. So there's definitely something brewing up. It's just unclear what exactly it is.
Hey, Harrison and Sean, I want to ask you, one of the things that I've heard, and you guys could probably speak to this better, can Halliburton and Fox coexist in a backcourt? Or is it a tough, matching of those two guys? Do you feel like they both need to be ball dominant, or do you feel like Halliburton can play off and it could work?
Go ahead, Harrison. You can start.
Oh, cool. Yeah, in regards to Halliburton and Fox, it's actually interesting how Sacramento has used those two. In the past, we've seen De'Aaron Fox kind of be the prime initiator on offense, being the playmaker, if you will. This season, they've gifted Halliburton with a much more playmaking role. He's averaging over 7 assists per game now, and he's basically their main ball handler. De'Aaron Fox has been used more as a scorer, if you will. His assist numbers are down. He's still scoring well. Which is part of the reason why I love his fit with Tyrese Maxey, who's not quite the playmaker that Halliburton is. So I think whether you're pairing Halliburton with Fox or Maxey, 2 scoring guards, I think it would work out well.
Yeah, Out of the three, I would say Fox and Maxey are the two I think would have the biggest problems coexisting. I think that Maxey, is probably like 90% what De'Aaron Fox is right now, and I still think he has plenty of room to grow, which is kind of what stops me when I think about getting a deal built around Fox. And Maxey already scores at a much more efficient clip than Fox, and I believe in his jumper way more moving forward. Fox, it feels like the more chances he gets, kind of the worse and more fluffy the numbers look in my mind. So Halliburton, I do like as a fit. And also, Harrison, you tweeted this out earlier, but both Tyrese's as a backcourt would be awesome. And I also think that this would be a nice kind of win now, because I think Halliburton's already good enough to compete on that. And this sets you up for life post Joel Embiid. If we think about both these guys are 21 years old, both Maxey and Halliburton coming into still on the up and up of their career arcs, and they're going to be hitting their prime kind of as Joel retires. So I know that's kind of the big picture look, but if they can find a way to swing that, I think it's a really good organizational move.
So we heard Morey say at least a couple of months ago, like whether or not this Ben Simmons trade has to return a difference maker. Do you see Tyrese Halliburton as a difference maker down the road? And what is his ceiling? Like, what do you project as his ceiling? If we go back to the draft, he was my favorite guys in the draft, but he was one of those guys that, maybe not a fringe all-star, but like a very good starter. What's your take on Halliburton? Because I'm not going to pretend like I watch Sacramento Kings basketball, but I know a lot of you junkies do. Harrison, like, what's your take on Halliburton's like ceiling? Harrison Halliburton. What's your take on his ceiling here, potentially in Philadelphia?
Yeah, that's a great question. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. If you're doing this deal, I think Halliburton does help you right now, but ultimately you're banking on his upside. What can he become? And I'm comfortable in saying that I think he can be a Malcolm Brogdon type player. And Malcolm Brogdon is a tremendous player. He's someone that a lot of years is in the all-star conversation. Just hasn't been because of injuries or other outside factors. But I think if you're getting someone like a young Malcolm Brogdon, I think I would argue Tyrese Halliburton is a better playmaker than him right now. And he's 7 or 8 years younger than him. I think that's a pretty good get. And whether or not you choose to grow with him in the long-term future, which is very doable, he's under team control for 3.5 years going forward, or you could even flip him. Let's say Bradley Beal becomes available. All of a sudden you have Tyrese Halliburton, who I'm sure other teams love and are high on. You have that as an option now, along with maybe some other draft picks. So whether you choose to build with them long-term or in the short term, I think it's a good move, and it can be pivoted in either way, really.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Personally, the playmaking is, I think, what the biggest appeal to me. And to answer your original question, I'm not 100% sold that he is kind of the difference maker that Morey has labeled. But to me, the playmaking is the biggest lure as far as just completing this team. And that would take so much responsibility off Maxey, which I think would improve him as a scorer. Because Maxey has done a very good job just becoming more of a point guard this year. But that really just isn't him at his core. Like, he's at his best when he's creating his own shot, attacking the basket, and just scoring. Like, if this guy wasn't 6'2" or 6'3" or whatever he actually lists as, like, he just wouldn't be considered a point guard. That's just not his game. And even dating back to Kentucky, like, he was next to Emmanuel Quickly and another guard there. I'm drawing a blank on the name. But, like, he was a third-tier ball handler, basically. So when he can just do his thing, be free to play his game, I think his game's going to continue to improve. And then I'm personally, I don't think the Sixers are mirroring this, but personally, I'm getting closer to the thought process of adding like 2 B-tier guys to complete this team might be enough. And when I think about a guy like John Collins jumps out to me, and I just think the athleticism that he could bring defensively and just taking some defensive responsibility off Embiid around the rim, as well as just another aspect with a lob threat, a guy that is a real athlete to have on this team. Like, if they can find a way to swing John Collins and Tyrese Halliburton, I think I can sign on board for that one.
Love it, man. Thank you so much for joining, Harrison. Where can we find you, man? What do you got going on, dude?
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter. My handle is right here. That was smooth. You can check out my work on Liberty Ballers. I also have a newsletter, Above the Grim, every Monday and Friday. I'm writing up new stuff, answering questions. It's free right now, so go check it out. Those are the 2 main places you can find my work. And thank you all for letting me on.
One of the best Twitter follows, period.
Yes.
Come on, guys, just follow him. Thanks for joining, Harrison. Talk to you next time, man.
Absolutely. You all have a great rest of your night.
You
Thanks,
too.
Harrison.
And then we've got Sean, man. Thank you for joining, dude. Where can we find you, man? Pick Swap Pod. So good.
Yeah. Check me out on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1, at Pick Swap Podcast for all the Twitter for that. Check it out on YouTube, Pick Swap Podcast, and check out all my written work at Philly Sports Network. Piece on James Harden coming tomorrow, so check that out and stay posted.
Thank you so much for joining, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Yes, sir.
Thanks,
I appreciate you guys for having me.
Next up, we've got my man Dave from Podadelphia. Dave, what's going on, man?
What's up, guys? How are you?
I'm doing
you,
well,
Dave?
man. I started off with our Eagles offensive ranking with Jason Kelsey as S tier.
Yeah,
we're ranking these guys. So I'm gonna let's throw it to you, man. Dave, do you have anybody on this Eagles offense that would deserve an S tier ranking?
No. I was, when I saw you put Kelsey up there in the S tier, I was like, okay, where do we even go from here? And then I started to think, well, heck, is there even anyone in the A tier after that? So, no, I got no one else for the S tier. I didn't know what you had in mind.
All right, so I don't have anybody else for the S tier. What about you, Rob? Do you have any S tiers before we move on to A?
No S tiers, and I'm going to tell you the A tier is for me going to follow a lot of offensive linemen. I think when you look at this team this year, the one group that seemed to be the steadiest, the most consistent, was that offensive line, and a lot of that, even the backups when they came in, they played well when they were in the game. But look, Lane Johnson missed time, but when he came back, I thought he did a nice job in there. Landon Dickerson surprised me this year. I did not expect to get what we got out of Landon Dickerson in his first year, especially coming back off the torn ACL. Nate Herbig was a pleasant surprise. Jordan Mailata, I mean, look, we had hopes, and I think Jordan Mailata, checked every box that you wanted to see from him in this year. I mean, we went into training camp in a battle with another one of Howie Roseman's really smart. I'm smarter than everybody in the room picks Andre Dillard. But at the end of the day, Jordan Mailata not only won that battle, but was just, I thought he did a really, really nice job for his first 4 years as starter.
Yeah. Quentin says, let's go to some comments real quick. RJ Lucas says 50-piece chicken platter for the Orlando Magic. Joel Embiid ties a career-high 50 points. We're going to get into that big time very, very soon. Eagle Champ says, please draft Wilson. Him and Smith will be electric. I'm not touching Garrett Wilson. I think there's other wide receiver options like Treylon Burks, John Mechie. You can go on and on. There's some really solid players.
You can't continue to draft first-round wide receivers because you screwed up many drafts in the past.
I agree with that because there's so many holes here, but we're going to talk about that. That. Hold on. We have a comment. I came here after I saw a 50 in the stat line. Is this ridiculous, man? Skip A. Lane Johnson. Should we throw Lane Johnson in A? I mean, when he's healthy.
Yeah.
My two A's would be Dillard and Lane Johnson.
Dillard.
I think Andre Dillard. Sorry.
You're my lot.
Jordan Mailata.
The hell is wrong with you?
I don't know anymore. That's a long question. That's a long answer. You don't want. Don't ask questions you don't want answers to.
I would put Mailata in A for sure.
Are you grading on a curve for the Eagles? Is it like an A for this offense, or is it an A in terms of NFL as a whole? I think that's kind of an important distinction.
That's a great question. I didn't even think of it that deep, Dave. But Andre, I can't believe
regardless, I think I put Mailata in the A area, and I put Johnson probably in the B area. Not that Johnson was bad by any means, but look, he's getting up there now, right? I mean, he's getting up there, and I know this year was the mental health thing, which is as serious as any injury you could have, in my opinion. But injuries can start to play a role there as well. But I thought Mailata was just so good to me, that I would be okay putting him in the A.
Okay, I'm good with that. So we got Mailata at A and Johnson at B. Are you good with that, Dave?
Yeah.
All right. All right, Dave, what was your kind of reaction here to Joel Embiid's 50-point, tied a career high here? Just go ahead.
Yeah, it's funny. I thought I was going to come on here and ask, like, hey, what's up with Tobias Harris? Is the absence of Simmons affecting Tobias Harris this season? Or, I didn't know what we were going to talk about here. And then I start to watch this game and I start doing mental math. And I said, like, could we get to 50? And then by the end of the third quarter, I'm thinking, can we get to 60? And what I was really curious about is, can't you let the guy beat his personal record, his PR? You can't leave him in there for one more minute, because they were going to feed him the ball every time down the court, as long as he was on there. At least let him get to 51.
Yeah.
I tell you what I like the most about this shot chart, and I'm not the guy that says he can never shoot them, but it's only one 3-pointer. Look how much is in that dominant zone for him, right? Like in that paint area or that right outside the paint area. That's what has me excited. You're seeing a Joel Embiid who's not just lingering around the outside because he's tired or gassed or whatever the case may be. He goes out and, his moves have gotten quicker. He's more decisive when he gets the ball in the post than I've seen him in past years. And that's one of the things that I've really, really liked to see, especially. So here tonight, he scores 50 points. And when you look at the shot chart, only one of them came from the outside. And he only shot, 4 from out there, which I'm totally fine with. 4 or 5 a game, I'm totally fine with.
The shot chart doesn't even look like he made that many shots, because so many of those circles are just like right there under the basket where, he was doing the hard work.
Yeah, he was 10 of 12 inside the paint in this game. 10 of 12. I made a joke kind of tweet, like halfway through this game, we have a comment from RJ saying, like, Embiid went insane tonight. Quentin, one of our best, was saying, I was multitasking. Embiid is so good, it makes me cry, man. Like, it almost looked like you have Embiid have 20 of the first 22 points for the Sixers in this game. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was like watching Larry Brown's offense back in 2001. Like, Allen Iverson, just dump the ball to Iverson. Everyone get the fuck out the way and let Joel Embiid do his thing. That's what it was. It was we have seen this, like, point guard Joel Embiid kind of evolve over the last several weeks. And, man, like, no one can stop it. No one can stop it, especially if they get that inside high game between him and Tobias going and all that. I don't want to talk about Tobias. He's a mess. But anyway, Joel Embiid is so good that he's leading the Sixers squad. And I got to ask you, Dave, like, what's your kind of quick take on all this Ben Simmons trade rumors today? Because that's that's what everyone really truly cares about.
Yeah, I think we all just want it to be over at this point. And I kind of like what you guys were talking about earlier with, like, okay, instead of getting this ultimate marquee, like, Robin to Embiid's Batman, that's going to blow the doors and we'll have like a super team. I kind of like the concept of, a couple of Bs and actually filling out a roster that's going to make a competent, complete team that we can, work with, instead of just holding on to this asset, praying because it's the last piece left over from the process. It's like the last single asset, the last chip to possibly cash in for anything substantial. And you just can't hold on to it because, if you think that this offseason is going to get you something better in return than what you're going to get now, fine. I just don't know that that's a reality. And the whole, like, packaging Tobias with him that was going on over the previous couple of weeks, it just reeks of desperation. And I think we all just want it to be over. Let's take what we can get now.
You think so?
And I'd be happy with making something work with the Kings, because I think they have some really usable pieces.
Yeah.
That are fun too. They're fun to watch.
I'm a big Halliburton. I've done a ton of NBA draft content, and Halliburton was one of my top 5 guys in that year's class. Yeah, it's one of those moves that you want it to be done. Like, you're getting to this, I think, at least for me personally, like, I'm getting to the point where, like, I was a guy that, like, just wait. Like, I want the big deal, but it's starting to, like, kind of creep up on me now where I'm just like, You're
But are the
looking
Kings-
you're looking at Joel Embiid, especially this historic performance that we saw tonight. He had 43 points in 26 fucking minutes.
Crazy.
Like
Yeah.
we are witnessing a historic big man in the game right now. So that is definitely a tough pill to swallow if you kind of just bite the bullet, and take the red pill and just say, forget it, I'm out. So real
But
quick.
are the Kings kind of playing that game that the Sixers kind of played last year? They're like, we want to add this piece, but I don't want to give up one of my two that I've sort of fallen in love with, and then they're going to miss out on it altogether. I don't know.
Well, the big news is Matisse Thybulle. People are like, whoa, Matisse Thybulle. That's kind of the big news, is that people are like, the untouchable of this trade is Matisse Thybulle, especially getting back a Buddy Hield, a Halliburton, a Harrison Barnes. You're giving up your best defensive player and not getting that back in return. That's been unanimous that I've seen, at least on my timeline.
You don't have enough scoring on this team. And as much as I love the way Thybulle plays defense, I said this before we came on the air at times, it is sometimes cringeworthy watching Matisse Thybulle on the offensive end of the court. I love the kid. I do. But I think this is a typical Philly situation, right? We fall in love with the guy, with the grit, with the big smile, with the hard work. And I'm not saying there's not a place for Matisse Thybulle, but if you're able to get guys that put the ball in the hoop so that Embiid doesn't have to spend 100% of his time scoring, it just benefits this team in so many different ways. And
We're
I'm
still
just
reeling from TJ McCollum walk.
Yeah, seriously. But I'm telling you, I was thinking about this today because as people were talking about Jalen Hurts, and there's still this conglomerate out there who refused to admit that he played a woeful game on Sunday. And it's like, we love these guys so much that we turn blind, as smart as fans as Philadelphia fans are. And we're smart. We get blinded so easily. We put the rose-colored glasses on. It's the Robert Covington syndrome. It's the TJ McConnell syndrome. These guys are average players at best that we think are untouchable. No wonder we can't get anything here. I love TJ McConnell, but I guarantee you that you could go into any gym in America and TJ McConnell could be in there and you wouldn't know it was him. You would think he was just another guy playing pickup. It just is one of those things about this town that I can't get to. I love Matisse Thybulle. He's a great young kid, but damn it, he can't shoot a basketball. He just can't.
SexyScenarios.com, nice plug there, says, I am not trading Matisse Thybulle. He or she says trade Simmons and move on. The problem with the trade is that none of the players are better than Seth Tobias or Maxey. No. You're adding depth without adding a good starter. I think Halliburton's a really good starter. I think
people don't know Halliburton enough in this town, and the fact that he plays in Sacramento, it's not like they get to see a lot of his games. I don't know how many times Sacramento has been on national television, and I don't know, the last 15 years. So I do
think that trading Simmons and moving on is a sexy scenario. So I do think that is correct.
And I was going to say, yes, I agree with that point, but it's very hard for me to take some analysis from a man by the name, man or woman, with the tag name of sexy scenario. So no offense to you, but I'm going to stand with my opinion from a guy named Rob before I take the opinion of Mr. or Miss, or whatever pronoun you're using, sexy scenario.
That's my favorite.
I like whoever this is now. They play along, so I like it. I'm in.
Here's a real take. We've got D Drippy Network in the house. What's good? Go subscribe. Please share the love, guys. Amazing channel over there. Here's my real take on this is what is Matisse Thybulle's contract situation? Because I think just as we dog guys like that we've seen in the past that kind of get a little bit more money than they should, then we dog those kind of guys. Like once they get that next contract, you look at Matisse Thybulle, real lineup combination issues, especially in the fourth quarter with Joel Embiid. That is real. Like the reason why he's in the corner and you see Joel Embiid get just dogged and hammered down low is because, defenders have zero respect for that guy with his shooting. So that is kind of like where I am like going here is that I love Thibault, like you said, Rob, but at the end of the day, there are real concerns about this guy's fit with Joel Embiid moving forward. Why
do we not want Ben Simmons here? Because in the fourth quarter, he no defense comes in because he can't shoot. And look, Matisse is a great defender, but I think Ben Simmons is a better basketball player than Matisse Thybulle. No offense to Matisse, just putting that out there. But we're so willing to get rid of Ben. But Matisse Thybulle is untouchable. Like, it's to me, that's what boggles my mind. Like, I understand getting rid of Ben, but then you got to be understanding about getting rid of Matisse Thybulle. Like, it's just, I cannot wrap my head around this idea that Matisse Thybulle's untouchable now. I just can't do it. We've seen enough. And like you said, his next contract's going to be for a lot of money because someone's going to pay it. I don't want to do that again. Tobias Harris doesn't stink at basketball, but he's not worth the money he gets, and we bring that up every damn day in this town. So why don't wait around to have this situation play itself out again with Matisse Thybulle? Move him with Ben and get me a kid like Halliburton who could create, who could play defense, who could shoot. And I'm going to be very – on top of the fact you get a shooter like Buddy Hield off your bench. Harrison Barnes is just a veteran. He may not, but he can still play the game a little bit. And 2 first-round picks from that franchise, the hell are they going to win?
And Philly's going to love those guys anyway. They're going to love Halliburton here.
Yeah.
Just let him play a little while. They'll love him.
Yeah. I love this comment from Sean, disappointing the TJ McConnell slander. I have, very good memories. I'm a big Ricky guy. I used to be. Writes the Ricky Sanchez podcast. I remember going to see that guy at a concert venue, and he's just double fisting beers. I
love McConnell. I was a big fan. I remember the year that he signed as an undrafted free agent playing the summer league, and I was pumped because I loved him in Arizona. Like I was like, oh, I love the kid. But I never believed he was the star. Now, the other guy, a part of those years that everyone loved, Robert Covington. If I never saw Robert Covington pick up a basketball again, it would be too soon. Yeah. I loathe Robert Covington. And I think a lot of it, and I used to say this when I did the madness with Jess all the time. She used to dog me on it. I think it was his fans that made me hate him more. Like the stands for Robert Covington that would take to Twitter and talk about how great he was on the defensive end because he got tips. That guy on the ball, I'm telling you, people ate him. Like the one year, I think it was LeBron James, averaged 30 points a game against him. And everyone's like, look at how he does against LeBron. What are you talking about?
Well, for where Hinkie found him.
Yes.
Great value.
Absolutely.
Great value. But the way
the time
people acted
like he was that.
There was a time where people actually, I think, thought you could build around Robert Covington. And I just sat here and wanted to rip my hair out. There were idiots in this town that thought that. It was the same thing. It was the same thing with Nerlens Noel.
There's no way. I was among those idiots. No one ever said Robert Covington you could build around a guy like that. That was exactly what I was directly referring to with Matisse Thybulle. When he gets that next contract like Robert Covington did, expectations change, in terms of look at Danny Green's new contract. Danny Green he's on the tail end of his career. He gets a fancy contract, a new contract with the Sixers, and they expect Danny Green to have a more impact on this Sixers offense. That's not what Danny Green is. There's a clear delusion about different contracts in Philly sports.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying though, I can remember that first year where we finally had a team put together and Simmons was playing and Embiid was playing and JJ Redick was here, and the playoffs against Boston that year when they go to the second round and Robert Covington was used and abused. Him and JJ Redick were used and abused the whole series. And everybody wanted to tell me, no, Robert Covington is a starter in this league. And I said, you're all smoking. I would like what you're smoking because I'd like to feel this way and be loopy as well. And
that was also the series that TJ McConnell had to come off the bench and save Ben Simmons bacon when he was doing Ben Simmons things in the fourth quarter all those years ago.
Sean says Robert Covington is strictly in there for cardio at this stage. There was a play. There was a play. Speaking of like Robert Covington, there was a play where Charlie Brown got the ball in a fast break and completely bricked like a lane on fast break. And I'm just thinking of like, I'm not comparing the two whatsoever. But you think of like a defensive stopper, you think of like a wing, a guy that you want energy. Like that was kind of Robert Covington coming through the G League or D League back then to where he is now. And like you just saw, I had shades. It's funny. I threw back this game to 2001 where Larry Brown threw the ball to AI and everyone else just stood around. Same thing here tonight. Same thing here with Robert Covington and just Charlie Brown has no touch around the rim. No touch.
It's been 5 years since I've ripped into Robert Covington like I have here tonight. That was not my plan coming into this episode. But somehow it got to that, and all I can remember is everyone telling me he's a 3-and-D guy. And I was like, he's not a 3 guy. Like one game he may hit 6. The next 6 games he may hit 1. Like it's just I couldn't get. And you said it, Dives, when he would drive to the basket and throw up the shit that he would throw up.
It was bad.
Cringeworthy.
Yeah. Rob says I would definitely trade Matisse for Halliburton straight up. I don't love Hield or Harrison Barnes. The only thing I'll say about this trade is if you would make this trade, and I'm not saying I would, but like what's the missing ingredient of the Sixers offense is 3-point attempts. The Sixers they have been always among the worst in 3-point attempts. That's Tobias Harris. That's Matisse Thybulle. Just way too much hesitation on the perimeter. You look at these 3 guys, 19.1 3-point attempts per game. That is more than half of what the Sixers average per game. Just those 3 guys. 41.1% from 3, and they all shoot 43.6% from 3 in the catch and shoot. So if you add those guys around a just historic big man like this Hakeem Olajuwon, Michael Jordan, I don't know what you want, like massive point guard big man. There is something there, right? Like there is something there. Like you have just tons of floor spaces around. I mean, Korkmaz isn't getting done. The dude is shooting 30% from 3-point range. He's another one. It's literally what he's there to do, and he's not getting it. I know he probably had a pretty good game tonight. I think he was a pretty positive. He had a 15. He was a plus 15. He had 1 of 2 from 3. But Korkmaz is what he is. Like he's a at the end of the bench kind of guy. If you want to build around guys that can, give Joel true spacing on the perimeter and get him the ball down low to dominate, which we saw tonight, the trade somewhat makes sense.
Right. The question is, how far can Embiid take you? And the answer to that question varies very differently depending on the players that are around him.
Totally. Yeah. And can Joel Embiid continue at this rate without having this, like having the help? Like that was like the other. That's the biggest take over the last month. Is that?
But like more so than if you're saying like how far can Steph Curry take you, because his his stuff is independent. Like Embiid needs a different cast of characters around him to be able to say like, okay, how far can I take you now?
Especially when you get into the playoffs and you got to play the half-court game more and the defense gets tighter, and what these coaches are going to do. I mean, Eric Spoelstra has given you the blueprint on playing against Joel Embiid. I mean, they're going to run double after double after double, and Joel Embiid's gotten better, but he's going to turn the ball over. And that you need guys that he can kick it to, that are not named Seth Curry, because he's the only one he's got right now that can knock down shots. You know what I mean? And can create a little bit so that they can't just double at ease. If you got Halliburton, Seth Curry, Buddy Hield, all on the floor with Joel Embiid, you got 3 guys that can score from anywhere on the floor. Yeah. And that opens everything up for a guy like Joel Embiid. And look, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't even know if I know what the right answer is, whether it's make a move now or wait till some. I can't say that. At this point, you've waited long and you've waited forever. I've been on board with it. I understand what you were doing. But, if you're doing this now and your hope is to just, somehow get James Harden to come over here next year. You better be damn well sure in the summer you make that happen, because if you don't, then you not only wasted this year, Joel Embiid, but you're going to waste next year too. And that I can't be on board with.
Right on. We got a comment. I like this non-toxic discourse, though. I'm not sure why the toxic commentators have all the views. Hey, man, nothing but love here. Nothing but love.
That's right.
Rob says, Buddy would love playing with Embiid. He would put up 15 threes a game.
Yeah.
It would, man. Like, these guys would have space like they've never seen before. There was plays where the Magic they were just getting bullied. Like, Robin Lopez, if one play, like, literally just grabbed Embiid and just like, I'm out, guys. Barnes and Hield have much more tradable contracts than Tobias. That's a big piece of this that we haven't yet really truly addressed, is getting out of that Tobias Harris contract is so important. You look at, I think Barnes and Hield have like one more year on their deal, 1 or 2 more years. So that's a big piece here as well. Let's throw this back. Do we have any more Bs? I have a B.
Yeah.
I've got Devontae.
I was gonna say you gotta put Devontae in there somewhere.
And honestly, the reason Devontae isn't higher, I don't think it's because of Devontae. I think it's because of the offense. Look, I don't know if Jalen Hurts just doesn't catch him in his progressions, but I feel like Devontae Smith was open a lot more than the targets he got. I don't know if it was, I don't know what the reasoning behind it was, but Devontae's going to be a player. I mean, his hands, some of the catches he made this year, we haven't seen an Eagles wide receiver make in a long time. So, he's a B, I think, because of environment more so than him, than himself.
I fully agree. For pretty much the majority of the second half of the season, all I kept coming back to was how good Devontae, his numbers would be if, he had an adequate deep ball passer at quarterback. There were so many times where, Jalen Hurts and him were not on the same page. But I'm going to throw it to my man Jalen here. Wait, hold on. Quentin says, Slay. We're only doing the offense tonight. We're only doing the offense here for the Philadelphia Eagles. What's going on, Jalen?
What's going on? Sorry, I'm late. I'm ready to talk some birds, baby. What's going on?
I don't know. First of all, Dave, how much time do you have? Like, what's your thing here?
I can hang out for a few.
All right, cool. All right. So right now we are just ranking the Eagles offense. We've got Jason Kelsey at S tier, Mayalata at A tier. I called him Andre Dillard by accident. That was terrible. I take it back so many times. I take it back. Oh yeah, big time. Lane Johnson at B, and I just put Devontae at a B. Do you have any? Let's start for you, man. Is there anything one missing at S, A, or SA A tier? Because we're on B now.
I think I would bump. Oh, you talking about anybody missing? Okay, no. I was just saying, just looking at the rankings, I probably would put Malata in S tier as well, and probably put Lane in A. Lane didn't give up any sacks the whole year. Now, he was looking a little funny in that Bucks game, not gonna lie. But I probably would have put Lane in that A tier just because 400 snaps on offense, 0 sacks allowed. He was back in that zone. And Malata, he's a people mover, man. I mean, he just doesn't lose his reps very often. So for me, he's kind of in that elite tier as well. Rager needs to be in the F tier.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Is there a tier for cut now?
No, straight up. Is there an F minus tier? Not even trying to I know everybody's had their, kind of dumping on him. He's terrible, straight up.
Yeah, he's bad.
So for a team that had such a substantial running attack, is a running back going to be anywhere above a C?
No,
because
not
I credit.
It's odd, right?
It is, because I credit the offensive line a lot more there than I do any of the running backs. I mean, Jordan Howard. I give Jordan Howard a lot of credit because this guy sat on the practice squad the first 4 or 5 weeks, whatever it was, and then he came in and he did what he can do. And that's he's a very serviceable number 2, number 3 back for you. Boston Scott is who he is. And personally, and I'm probably going to be in the minority here, I am down on Miles Sanders a lot. Like, in my opinion, I wouldn't be upset if they decided to draft a running back higher this year, a little higher than
100%.
typical this year, and move on from Miles Sanders, because his skill set is as skillful as he can be. I think he has lapses from the brain a lot, and the guy hasn't stayed healthy. I mean, he gets hurt every year, and he got hurt 2 or 3 times this year.
And he doesn't really wear the defense down either. Like,
No.
I'd rather have a back that can actually wear the defense down, like, as the game progresses. And for as many big runs as Miles has had, I feel like he leaves a lot of yards on the field at the same time. Like, there's so many runs where I'm like, there's a lane right there. Like, cut in or cut, like, to the side, like, you know. So, yeah, I'm with you there. I'm not a huge Miles Sanders
especially with that contract looming. Like, there's no way I'm giving him any more money than what he's got now. And you look at, Jalen Hurts and everything he does. Like, there are weaknesses to Jalen Hurts, but we don't talk enough about how much he impacts the running game for the Philadelphia Eagles. Getting him a young stud running back like Isaiah Spiller, day 2, day 3, would be terrific for this offense. And you have a controllable contract there and a piece to build to the future here. So any other B's or Jalen? Sorry, any other S's or A's?
Any other S's or A's? I'm taking a look. Nah, I don't think so. All
right, let's roll on to B. I'm going to throw it to Dave. Dave, do you have any B's?
B's. What about some of the interior linemen at this point?
Yeah.
So we've got Brandon
Dickerson,
Brooks.
maybe?
We've got Dickerson. You want to throw Dickerson at
Yeah,
B?
I think Dickerson is a good choice there.
And I think a lot of that is like we were talking about earlier, that, I don't know if anybody expected that much out of him year 1 coming off the ACL. And he played a lot and he played well. You know what I mean?
Some people up.
Yeah. So I think a B is a solid place for him. And look, I wasn't a huge fan of the pick when they made it, just because I thought there were other holes they could have filled at that point. And Dives, we talked about that a lot. But if this kid can stay healthy, I mean, he's a bruiser on the inside. I mean, him and Mailata next to each other for the next however many years, if they stay healthy, is a really good left side of the line. That's a really good left side of the line.
Really is. Anybody else have B's for this Eagles offense? I might have one, and you might kill me for it, but it is what it is.
Jalen Reagor there.
No.
You're gonna say Quez?
No, definitely not Quez. Although I like what I saw from Quez. Like, a lot of these guys are going to see a lot of C's out of me. There's a lot of C's for sure. But for me, I gotta go. Like, what about Gardner Minshew? Like, Gardner Minshew did his job.
Whoa.
Gardner Minshew did his job coming in and getting it done as a backup quarterback.
Elite backup.
That was his job, was to have like a game or two where he got the W, and he did. And I don't want to hear any heat.
Here's why I can't put him at a B. Because if we put him at a B and then put the starter at a C or D, you just opened up a whole nother can of worms that I'm not getting into.
You just started a whole other quarterback controversy right here on the stream.
Yeah. 17 people are going to take the Twitter and they're going to say, Party on Broad thinks Minshew's better than Hurts. I'm not going there, dude. I'm not doing it.
Could you edit out the mustache, and then can we put the mustache in one of the letter grades, and then Minshew himself in another one?
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing that.
Okay.
Look, I think Minshew is a hell of a backup quarterback. I do. I think he's a hell of a backup quarterback. Frankly, I'm starting to think Jalen Hurts could be a hell of a backup quarterback for somebody. That's kind of where I'm at on that. You know what I mean? But I can't, from what we saw this season, just because I'm not going to do it to my brain, put Gardner Minshew ahead of Jalen Hurts.
No, I do get what he's saying, though. As far as, like, if you just sheerly think about it in the context of what was his role, what were his expectations, and did he meet or exceed them? I can see how you could give Gardner Minshew a beat because I mean, some backup quarterbacks are disasters, as we know. I mean, like most of the wins that the Eagles got this year were against some really trash backups. And Minshew, I mean, he's serviceable. Like you said, he made some throws. I don't know. He seemed like a pretty good teammate. I don't know.
One game he beat the Jets. It's not like he went in there and.
Yeah, it was against the Jets. I mean, I could probably have a game against the Jets, to be honest. So I'm not sure.
No, that he probably had the most heartfelt moment of the entire season where after the game where he's, embracing his dad.
Beating his dad's ass. He's like, this is the hardest fist bumps I've ever seen.
All right, I will put Minshew. All right, so we got some comments. Minshew just entered the stream and put himself as an S Minshew.
Absolutely.
I think I love that Minshew pulled the old high school move, and he went to the coach and said, "Coach, how can I play more?" Like when I was a high school coach, that drove me up a friggin' wall. Like, dude, don't ask me that.
Somebody in the comments said, "Is Goddard a B?" And I kind of wanted to make the case for Goddard as well because I feel like Goddard made the most out of situation because, as we know, Hurts isn't the most proficient passer in the world. And I felt like Goddard really was like doing his job. I mean, one thing I love about Goddard is he always gets some tough ass yards after the catch. Like anytime he makes a catch, I'm like, oh, okay, he's going down. And then all of a sudden he'll carry a couple bodies or he'll like spring loose, get 3-4 more. He's a hell of a blocker. I don't know if y'all are a big fan of like Baldy's breakdowns on Twitter, but he's always highlighting like Goddard and Landon Dickerson too. That's why I'm glad we gave Dickerson some love because Dickerson, he's a people mover. My
issue with Goddard is he had some timely drops. He was right up. I think he led the team with drops. And the worst part of all, like they were timely. There was a few games there that they were, especially that drop that turned into
the Bucks, Jesus.
Yeah, and there's just, I think I would put Goddard at a C, but I do think that like his potential, like he's going to be great next year. He's going to be terrific. Yeah. But I hesitate with a B. What about you guys?
Yeah, I'm kind of exactly with you. I mean, I'm exactly with you. I think the drops are why I hesitate to put him any higher than the C. Go ahead. I know Dave is going.
No, yeah, I agree totally. Those are high-profile drops. That's kind of really what stuck out in my mind more than some of the bigger plays that he had earlier in the year. So, yeah, I feel like the C bucket is going to be pretty full as we go.
Yeah. All right, so are we all throwing – or does anybody else have any other Bs?
I have a weird one. I'm not like saying he should be a B. I'm just saying maybe we should consider it based off his expectations coming into the season. Kenny G, smooth jazz.
Yeah.
Kenny G was pretty good. I mean, he was catching balls out of the backfield. He scored a good number of times. I mean, especially because he missed a few games. And he was a 5th-round pick or something like that. The expectations weren't super high. I thought he showed that he could be a utility back. But aside from that, I don't have any other players that I put in that B.
I'm looking at these little heads. Is Elliott on this?
No,
offensive. Is that the special teams breakdown?
No special teams on this. Just strictly offense. We've got Brandon.
Elliott was that guy this year.
We discriminate against special teams here on Party on Broad.
Respect.
Listen, for a while there, I thought Sipas would have been an A. Then he stopped. He forgot how to punt the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah, for real.
That fatigue was whooping his butt.
Rob says Jalen and Minshew should both be a C. Yeah, I moved them down. We'll move them down. Quentin says Goddard was impacted by Jalen Hurts. He did have the drops. JJ was an A as a blocker.
Listen, I have grown to love Nick Sirianni. Like I'm a fan of the guy and I really want him to succeed. But when he said that in his press conference today, when he decided to name every wide receiver in the room and have a 10-minute explanation, although I don't believe he mentioned Jalen Reagor, but that's besides the point. But when he mentioned JJ, what did he call him?
An enforcer. He called him an enforcer.
He called JJ Arcega-Whiteside, Mr. Mom, come over here and hold the umbrella over my head. An enforcer.
Yeah, that was wild.
Come on.
Didn't he call Reagor an elite number 3?
Oh, is that what he
He
said?
called him a 2. He said that Quez
No
Watkins
way.
is one of the better number 2 wide receivers in the league. And I was like, you got to be playing.
But Rager, I think he called him an elite number 3.
Oh, he called Rager a 3? Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, he could be an elite number 3. What's the new The Rock was on the Manning show talking about the new XFL. I think Rager should go try out there. He ain't got a spot here.
All right. Let's just start. Are we good with Jalen Hurts at C?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Putting him in
It's a
C.
good spot for him.
All right, C. Anybody else have any C's?
Boston
like-
Scott?
Goddard.
Yeah, I feel like Goddard's at the C. I think you could put I don't think one running back was better than the others. So I almost feel like you could put the entire running back room
Yeah, low-key.
in that.
Except for
in
Jordan
that-
Howard. Jordan Howard was looking kind of sluggish to me. I don't know if I put him in.
Well,
C.
he got hurt. I mean, that guy was battling through an injury, I felt like.
Yeah, I
Right?
think
Like
so
he got
too.
hurt and then just kept playing. To me, Jordan Howard was a warrior. And because of that, I'd keep him in the C range.
What are we doing with Dallas Goddard?
I think he was a C. I think the drops were really what hurts him.
Okay.
I don't know because he was making some good blocks too. Like I don't know. I'll leave him as a C. I do feel like we need to move Sanders up. Like he's in between a B and a C. As much disdain as I have for Sanders and the amount of yards that he leads on the field, there was a stretch, like a 5-week stretch, where only Jonathan Taylor had more rushing yards in the entire league than Miles Sanders. So I'd have to say that's a pretty good season all in all, because I don't think many of us expected him to have that good of a year, even though I know most of that is attributed to the offensive line. But Sanders he had a decent season. He had a decent season.
The fact is, it just keeps coming back to: is he healthy? Is he going to be healthy? Is he going to be healthy?
Yeah.
That's my issue. Quinn says Boston Scott should be B-ish. Where does Scott place? Are we putting?
Well,
where are we
here's why.
putting Boston Scott?
See, here I can't do it because there were so many games that he wasn't involved. You know, there were a lot of games. Now I know that he came on, but I feel like it was more so him and Jordan Howard complemented each other because they did such different. I don't know. I mean, I guess because during that stretch when Sanders was out, you know, it was him and it was Howard, but I don't know. I think they were all in that C range. I would also probably throw Quez Watkins in that range because there's a guy that I don't think we expected much out of.
Yeah.
And he kind of became the big play threat. I know he didn't make a lot of them, but I don't.
Some of that's on Hurts.
Yeah, some of that's on Hurts. Some of that's on play calls. I don't know, but I was impressed enough to say I like Quez Watkins going forward on this.
Same.
Okay. All right. Are we good with Minshew in that B to C range, or should I move him to C?
Minshew's definitely just.
I think Mitchell's a C.
All right.
Yeah, I think he's a C.
All right. Fine.
It was the Jets, you know.
All right. Are we good?
No,
I'm
move
proud of you
Sanders
guys.
up. Move Sanders' head up a little bit. We can't have Kenny G over Sanders. Sanders wasn't that bad.
Sanders is over here.
Sanders is here.
No, that's Kenny Gainwell, man.
That's Kenny G.
Here's King. Sorry, I was mixed up.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, Sanders is up there. And yeah, I think that's perfect. Yeah.
All right. All right, let's go. Any other C's here?
Nah. Who's this? I'm not trying to just call him by his race, but who's this? Who's the guy in the F range, second to the right of JJ Arthega?
That's got to be Opeta, right? Opeta.
That's Jack Stoll.
Oh, that's Jack Stoll, tight end.
That's
Okay.
Stoll?
Yep. Remember him?
But that was Opeta.
Apeta's over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
far right. No, that's like say Malu right there.
That's Sayamalu. This is Brandon Brooks. Is
okay. Yeah.
I think no. Yeah, this is Suapeta.
I like how we're all just like.
No, that's Sayamalu.
That's Sayamalu. Where did Apeta go?
You just delete Opeta off an old board?
I don't know. He's not. Oh no, we replaced him with Brandon Brooks. That's right.
Okay, that makes sense. Shout
right.
out Brandon Brooks.
Are they a combo?
All right. Where are we at? C? Are we all good with C? Moving forward. Go to D. Anybody have D's?
Yeah, just for the sake of I only want one player highlighted in the F range, put everybody else in D so that we could spend 20 minutes of me ripping dives for 2 years ago when I sat on here and had to be told how this guy was perfect for what the Eagles wanted, and Justin Jefferson was only a slot receiver.
Oh my God. That was by far the dumbest shit Howie ever said. Like, I'm not even like I'm not a Howie truth or anything, but like, dude, that draft explanation is like inexplicable. He's like, if you want a slot receiver, then yeah, you can go get you Justin Jefferson. But if you want a real difference-making, explosive player, that's what we have in Jalen Reagor. And now Jalen Reagor's like inarguably the worst player in the fucking NFL. Like, it's disgusting.
I gotta tell you, I know it was 17-0 and it probably wouldn't have mattered, but the Eagles had just kind of stopped the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 2 series in a row. And they're about to get the ball in Tampa territory with an opportunity to maybe get something going. And I understand it's windy, but what the hell?
He tried to pick it up at his shoelaces.
Oh my God.
That was bad. No, that was bad. Like you said, it was 17-0. We didn't have a lot of momentum going, but like you said, we did just get a huge ass 3 and out, and we were gonna at least try to get going on offense. Like, just try. And then womp. Like, just the most deflating fumble I've ever seen, like, in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I joined a pregame show on Sunday morning, and they asked me that question, exactly what Rob was saying. And I was like, what is Jalen Reagor's role here on Sunday? And now my response was absolutely nothing. I want him to just sit on the bench, eat a meal, and absolutely do not touch the ball because I do not want any turnovers whatsoever. And sure enough, Jalen Reagor does his thing. So. That is,
and then has the audacity to get cocky with Devontae Smith on the sideline. Are you serious? Are you kidding me?
And threw another negative play into the mix. Like, a couple drives later, they threw another like wide receiver screen, and it went fucking. He like runs laterally as hell out of bounds. Yeah. Like, oh my goodness,
he's nuts, man. Who would you rather have, Simmons or Reagor? It's not even close.
Simmons all day.
Simmons is still a good basketball player, Philly. Like I know he drives us nuts, but the guy's a pretty damn good basketball player.
All-world defender and a floor general, but he ain't coming back to Philly, sadly.
No, he's not.
So, just real quick reactions about our rankings here. I did a poll like a couple of weeks ago. It was like 1,000+ votes, and it was, my question was, other than Jason Kelsey, like who has been the most impressive offensive player this season? And for me, it was Jordan Mailata, and he had the least amount of votes on this poll. And for me, when you have a left tackle, a cornerstone left tackle that you can build around for the foreseeable future, like, that is a win. That is one of the biggest stories of this entire.
And you got him at a bargain rate, because when you signed him to the extension this year, it's not like he was signing for this giant, exuberant amount of money that a lot of left tackles do. Like, you got a guy who just loves the game of football, loves being a Philadelphia Eagle. So, now he's under contract for 3 or 4 years at a pretty nice price for a cornerstone left tackle. I mean, that's nothing bad there.
Who won that poll, by the way? Devontae?
It was Devontae. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Nah. I mean, I understand. I love me some Devontae Smith, but no, it's definitely Mailata for me as well.
Nice. I can't wait to see Devontae Smith with Russell Wilson throwing the ball.
Oh my God. Let's throw it. Awesome. Dave, any reaction to the rankings here, and what does it mean moving forward here?
Well, it's not very surprising. The strength of the team obviously bubbled up to the top. It is indicative of an average team. I mean, you look at this and it's like a nice bell curve coming down from C's, on either side. So it's like, it's not too bad. It's not great. It's an average team. It's what they were this year, which is, kind of a pleasant surprise of what we thought the season was going to look like going into it. So, nothing shocking to me.
What about you, Jalen?
I agree. What's alarming to me is that the only S-tier player we have is actively contemplating retirement. So that kind of sucks. But yeah, I agree. And it's also not very encouraging that, our franchise quarterback is a C, and really a debatable C at that. But yeah, I do think that this is kind of reflective of what the team was. I mean, it wasn't a powerhouse offense by any means, just a lot of kind of regulars. But I do see some potential. I like that there's a lot of youth. I mean, at least there's a lot of young guys on this chart, some people to be excited about. I think Quez, with a better quarterback, could have been a B this year. I mean, I think he actually might be a steal for where they got him in the draft. So looking forward to that. But yeah, I kind of agree with Dave overall.
Yeah, that was also where I was going to. Quentin says I'll take Maylott over Skinny Reaper as well. Like, they need a number 2 wide receiver. They got to get a number 2 wide receiver on this team.
Yeah.
Especially if you're rolling back with Jalen Hurts next year, you got to get a guy, an X guy that can get downfield, create separation. And I want to see more Devontae in the slot this next year because I think we've barely scratched the surface of how good Devontae can be. So that's also just another takeaway I have. Like, we need to get at least a B wide receiver in here to grow with Jalen. Especially a young running back, I think, to groom and grow for the next 4 or 5 years here, assuming Hurts is the guy. And I think that's still way up in the air. So yeah, how about should we wrap it up? We're over.
I just want to say one thing, when, we talk about this team being an average team, the quarterback of the team was at a C. That's an average grade. If the quarterback of the team is at a B or an A, you're a better team. It does not matter. Like, this is why I think I've come around to this idea that if you have 3 first-round draft picks, statistics and history tell you you're going to hit on one of them, maybe, right? Like, and that's with a good drafting team, not the Philadelphia Eagles. So, in my opinion, it's a better use of your assets to take 2 of those picks if you can get a proven commodity at the most important position on the field. Now, a lot of things have to fall into place. They'd have to want to come here, all this stuff. But if the Seattle Seahawks call you and say, hey, we're interested in moving Russell Wilson, would you have a conversation with us? There's not even a second thought in my head of that, even if it's only for 3 or 4 years. Even if it's only for 3 or 4 years, the NFL, that's really the window. And it's not the NBA where it takes 5 years to get back. A team could be 9-8 one year and in the Super Bowl the next year. Ask the 7-9 Buccaneers of 2 years ago, bring Tom Brady in, win the Super Bowl, and now have a second home playoff game this year. So we've got to don't give me, we can't mortgage the future. You don't have to mortgage the future. Chances are you weren't going to hit on all 3 of those picks or use them all. So I don't know, man. I mean, I'm just at that point now where if the opportunity arises to bring in a proven commodity veteran quarterback, you do it, and you use that cap space you're going to have, and you still have 11 draft picks, I think, or 10 draft picks this year. You have plenty of draft capital to do what you need to do in the draft. So that's just kind of where I stand on that.
It fills a lot of holes. When you have a guy like Russell Wilson, you don't have to have a top 3 defense. You don't have to have an elite offensive line. You don't have to have the best of the best playmakers on the outside. That's what it does. It fills a lot of holes for me, especially with Jalen Hurts. You saw it on Sunday. You got to have a top-notch defense. You got to have the best offensive line. You got to have playmakers out the wazoo. It is what it is. And I'm excited to see what Jalen Hurts can do moving forward. But anyway, let's wrap it up. Jalen, where can we find you, man? What do you got going on?
So you can find me, get my right hand over here. So right here at Just Jalen on Instagram and Twitter. I'm a writer, so I cover all pro Philly teams with Philly Sports Network. And I also like to hop on and annoy Deebs with the Suit Up Geeks every now and again. They let me sneak into their movie drafts. So if you want to see some atrocious movie and TV takes, please follow me on Twitter.
Dude, your draft team was legit, man. I remember the post-game show. I was actually like, this guy knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Dave, you're up, bro.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at @fat_lobster. Also find me on Podadelphia, also on Twitter at Podadelphia. We're every Tuesday night at 9:15 on this very YouTube channel, so you can find us there.
Rob.
First of all, Jalen, good for you sticking with those movie drafts. I stopped after Dibes cheated me out of the finals in like 3 straight movie drafts. It was BS. It was nonsense. My teams were far superior.
Man,
but you know, that's just besides the point. I got, and then he stopped inviting me back, and I think he knew that my teams were superior. Like, I haven't been invited back to one. Like, they haven't even said, hey, do you want to be in it? But now you can find me at Philly_Madness. You find me right here with Dives, man. We are looking forward to this kind of new idea that we're running with here with Party on Broad. It's going to be a lot of Sixers, a lot of Eagles draft and off-season stuff, as this is a big off-season for them. So catch me right here.
Yeah, and I'm obsessed with the draft, the NFL draft. You can see already, I've done 2 mocks. We've got Mark Schofield tomorrow night to break down Jalen Hurts and really break down, like, can he make that next year improvement? Whether, it's that deep ball accuracy, reading, going through progression, seeing the field better, all of that. We're going to see what his thoughts, and he is just an amazing quarterback guru. That'll be at 7 p.m. East Coast time. And of course, we have our movie drafts that are going down right now. That is our Oscars draft that is pretty intense. I'm not in it, so I'm just saying. But anyway, thank you everyone for watching. Smash that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you love the Sixers, the Eagles. For Jalen, for Rob, for Dave, for myself, stay awesome.